business is a literal, it's like micro marriages. That's what it is. You piss me off, I piss you off, we get over it. We figure out what you're not doing well, what I'm not doing well, and we get over it and grow from it. That's leadership in a box. That's leadership 101. It's not like these stupid corporate HR meetings and like those, any corporate book on leadership, burn it. Don't ever read that. Like if you really want to know what leadership is and you don't want to read, which I don't, that blows my mind why you wouldn't want to read. But if you really want to know what leadership is, it's being good to people and treating people, not just how you want to be treated. I heard a man say this when I was, again, young in life insurance, and he was an older gentleman in the life insurance world, and he said, don't treat people how you want to be treated. Treat people how they want to be treated. That's leadership. What up, everybody? Another episode of Adversity Kings, aka Financial. We are improvising today. I had a scheduled podcast and had a guest reschedule. So praise God, it's happening for me, not happening to me. I get to do this. I don't have to do this. But I'm going to put together, maybe it'll be 10 minutes, maybe it'll be an hour, because I only bought an hour, so it won't be more than an hour. But I'm going to put together some of my thoughts, and probably ultimately we'll title this, What Has Gone Well for Me and What I've Done Wrong over the last 6 years selling life insurance and building my life insurance business and empire. So I'm going to open up with how I got into the life insurance industry, because I got in when I was 18 years old, 19 years old, and I get that question all the time. How'd you get into life insurance? How'd you get into life? I hate hearing it, honestly, now. So I'm going to share with you guys how I got into life insurance. And I won't deep dive into my, upbringing and my story, because I don't want to highlight and shine on, oh, this was my upbringing, feel bad for me, because I don't believe, especially in America, I don't believe there's a come up. I think we already have a come up. We live in America, so everybody's got a horror story, whatever it is. But in America, I don't believe there's a legitimate, come up. I think we all start with the advantage of living here and being here. So I won't highlight much of my story, but I'll tell you this: I was expelled from high school my sophomore year. I was an angry kid. Both my parents went away, and they got out and had separate times raising me. My mom raised me and my little sister for a majority of our childhoods. And I was angry. I was an angry kid, didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I just felt poor, like we were looked down upon, and we didn't have anything, all in perspective, again, of America, not me having this global realization of it's a lot worse out there than how you can have it bad in America. So graduating high school, my mom's graduating high school for me, I guess, in a sense, because she was doing my online school for me. I was working at UPS during the day. I was running the streets, being a bad kid, just super, super angry, super I remember being 16, 17 years old and just super angry. I wanted to fight. I wanted just outlashes, anything that didn't go my way. Life was just, life, I really wouldn't be able to explain it aside from I was just this young, aggressive man that was just trying to have everything go his way and wanted to be wealthy and didn't know what was I going to do going into adulthood. And so I'm working at UPS. I'm running the streets. I'm not doing anything really like positive momentum with my life. And then as I graduate high school, I remember a month or two after, I basically reconnect with my pops. He's officially out, a year or two out. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I know he knows how to get money. I'm just I don't care anymore. I'm going to try to reconnect, reestablish our relationship. I'm going to go down there, see what he's doing down in Arkansas, where I was born and raised. It didn't work out initially in the reconnection of our relationship. And I just remember praying every day and night, praying, listening to worship music, and just praying to God, will you please show me a way? Will you do something? Show me something. And I remember before me and my dad got into this argument and I left, he was like, what you should look into? You should look into life insurance. And I was looking at my dad. I'm 18 years old with cornrows and 145 pounds. I'm like, what is life insurance? What is life insurance? And he's like, it's a place you can put your money and you can accumulate money, and it's this tax sheltered place. And if you die, there's a massive death benefit that's tax sheltered as well. But he's like, the rich get richer through life insurance. He's like, you should look into it as an investment. He didn't know nowhere did I don't think he intended on me selling it. And so I head back to Pennsylvania, and I'm working for my best friend growing up. I'm working at his pizza shop. His pop's got a pizza shop in Greensburg where we were living. And I was uploading my high school diploma on a different job sites, Indeed, whatever. I must have clicked sales tab, like the filtration system, and I must have clicked a sales tab and got an automated email from a life insurance company. And I think around the same time of me deep in prayer, deep in worship, I think I started reading as well. And I'll get into that because I think that's really massive in regard to like the success of what went well and what wasn't going well also. So I'm uploading my high school diploma and I get this automated email from an insurance company. I immediately think it's a scam. I figured I'd get like an email from like Subway or something in regard to like my credentials. They were nothing. I have a high school diploma. That's it. And a very low GPA as well. So it wasn't a matter of lack of intelligence. I always tell people like, I don't think ADHD exists. I think VDHD exists. I don't think it's an attention deficit. I think it's a vision deficit. I didn't have a vision in school. I couldn't connect that with anything. But I get an automated email from a life insurance company, think it's a scam. I do a little more research. I realize they have an office an hour and a half away from my house. I set up an interview. I go to the interview. There's Maseratis in the parking lot. I don't remember seeing Maseratis ever growing up. So I go into the office. You can tell people are making money. You got the Maseratis in the parking lot. People are in suits. And everybody is bare minimum 10 years older than me. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to get hired. Like, I'm almost like, God, why are you messing with me? Why are you playing with me? Like, what? Like, why did you accidentally let these people call me and set an interview with me? And so we sit down and go through the interview process, background check, et cetera, whatever. Like, I'm 18. There's nothing on my background. And they're like, well, you need to have a life insurance license. And I was like, what's a life insurance license? Well, you have to pay for this, and then you get your certificate, and you actually go take your state exam, and then you get your life insurance license. And I'm sitting here thinking they started to say pay, and I'm like, oh, this is a scam. Legitimately, it's a scam. They break down the life insurance license. It's a nationally regulated product. You're not able to distribute it without having a license that passes through like government, the Department of Insurance, background check, and you're actually appointed to sell for XYZ carriers, et cetera. So I round up some money between my mom, grandma, whatever. We get the course. I enroll at 11 a.m. I have it done by 4 a.m. It's a pretty solid course. It usually takes individuals a week or 2 weeks to get done. I cram studied. So here's a point if you're watching this, because I get this question as well. How do I pass my life insurance license? I had a 2 point whatever GPA. I passed the life insurance exam with like a 80 plus, 90 plus % after one day. I cram studied the course. I scheduled the state exam for the following day. This was pre-COVID, so there was no virtual life insurance exams. Everything was in person. I drove 4 hours, and this is the first time, and I'll get into these. Here's things I could have done better. This was 4 hours away from my home. It was like 4 hours away from my home. It was Erie, Pennsylvania. And this was the first time I almost fell asleep behind the wheel. If you've never fallen asleep behind the wheel, it is one of the most exhilarating and dangerous things that you can ever do. Like the feeling, I'm not advocating for you to go try it, but I remember the first time falling asleep behind the wheel, and I'm like sleep deprived. I probably had like a couple hours of sleep. I'm nervous. How am I gonna pass this test? How am I gonna pass this test? How am I gonna pass this test? But I remember 2 videos I watched on repeat. It was a Muhammad Ali video, and it was some type of motivational speech on, he would wake up at 4 a.m. and he would run to the gym, and I would listen to it over and over and over again. In the midst of this cram studying, in the middle of the night, as I'm cram studying my course, and then I would listen to this Bruce Lee motivational video on be like water, be shapeless, be formless, focus on the task at hand. And I was affirming over myself because I believe maybe a month prior to finding life insurance, I read this book called The Secret, and it talked about the power of what you say, what you think, and that you can create your own world. You can create your own life. You can dictate your future, negatively or positively, if you will just control the power of the tongue. What you say is what you create. What you think, what you focus on is what you create in your life. And so I started affirming over myself, you're going to pass this test. You've already passed this test. You're the greatest. You're the greatest. You're the greatest. You're the greatest. And I go through the test, I pass the test, and this might all seem very like micro to you and like it doesn't matter, but it 100% matters because I took those seeds then, grew up into literal fruits, plants, trees, skills that I developed from having that micro faith then to processing hundreds of thousands of dollars now and having the faith of, well, how am I going to get the money for this? Well, I remember when I was worried about the life insurance test, and I had the faith multiplied by the action, multiplied by the patience, equal desired outcome. And it was a done deal. So that was the beginning of the life insurance, getting into the life insurance. I remember my first 3 months were scattered. Here's something that I remember doing wrong. What I could have done better was been more organized. I allowed the hunger and the desire, the desperation of wealth to be so blinding that I had massive action with absolutely zero organization. I remembered almost in a sense demanding from the life insurance office, from the individuals that were training and developing me. There was a gentleman that pretty much taught me everything in the insurance game. His name's Brody Evanson. And I remember just telling him, dude, like, I don't care about training. I don't care about the scripts. I don't care about any of that. I want to get as many presentations in every single day as quickly, as fast as possible. And he said, that's fine. That's phenomenal. That's honestly the best way for you to actually train and learn anything is through repetition. You're going to learn way more through repetition than anything else in this entire world. But there was also a level of organization that I was skipping because I was so hungry to get to where I wanted to go that I wasn't slowing down and actually like organizing my system of like how it operated. We had paper leads. We had to drive to these people's homes. We set the appointment, whether it was via call or knocking on their door, we set the appointment. And then obviously we give that presentation. But what I was doing was I was setting appointments with people it was all scattered. It wasn't geographically like organized. So I would drive an hour here, I'd drive 2 hours there, I'd drive an hour there. And by the end of the day, maybe I got 4 or 5 presentations in, but I had gotten in 10, 12 hours of driving. So I wasted a significant portion of my day. Now I was listening to books, but here's the thing is like, you'll hear a lot of these coaches and gurus telling you, just work out and read and develop and pray and you're going to just be a millionaire. That is the biggest lie you're going to hear in 2020 ever. I don't care what year it is. The book never closed a deal for me. The push-ups never closed a deal for me. The cold tub never closed a deal for me. And listen, my faith is my number one priority. But have you guys ever heard that saying, like, first I prayed and then I went and got what I prayed for? A lot of people just pray and then just wait there. Like Santa Claus is going to pop up. Say, hey, we heard you prayed for $1 million. So here's $1 million. That's not going to happen, bucko. You're going to have to go to work. So like, I just remember having that massive action, driving all over the place, which led to maybe the first couple times I fell asleep behind the wheel. And actually, like, I think it was probably my first month, probably first week in the field. This is the second time I fell asleep behind the wheel and I sideswipe a car. So now my car insurance goes up. I got damage to the vehicle. It's my mom's car. I didn't even have a car at that point. I'm 19 years old. My first week selling insurance, I sideswiped a car, but I did make a sale. And I remember making that sale, and I was out door knocking till 9:30 at night. People were watching this. But I heard people be like, I stopped door knocking at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Well, you're just cool being poor. You're just okay being where you're at. When you are desperate or inspired, there's two forms of fuel. There's just desperation, there's inspiration. And then ultimately, as you kind of develop and evolve in entrepreneurship and sales, you start to maintain and you start to find a level of like, listen, this is just my calling. My purpose is to grow for the rest of my life. I'm going to work and grow and develop for the rest of my life. That's just a part of me. But that initiation of desperation, what you'll find is individuals, you'll get so desperate, like the how is not relevant anymore. It didn't matter how many dials, how many knocks, what time it was. There were appointments I would run at 4 a.m. because we catered to the blue collar world. So we'd work with a lot of union workers and they'd work a third shift or a twilight shift and they'd say, hey, look, we can meet at 4 a.m. They thought they were going to scare me. I was excited. You invite me into your home at 4 a.m. at 11 p.m., midnight? I'm going to close you, dog. What are you talking about? Like some of these, like if you're watching this, you're in sales and you're thinking to yourself, I don't want to run the appointment at midnight. If they're saying yes to an appointment at midnight, at 4 a.m., at an odd hour, it's already a done deal. It's all like, I guarantee the closes on those odd hour appointments are 80 to 90% higher than your typical like 9 to 5 close. You know who has little money? 9 to 5. You know who has a lot of money? Everybody that works the other shift. The 5 p.m. to the 9 a.m. people, those people I love. People were like, why'd you get up and start calling at 6 a.m.? Well, what time did you get up? Well, I got up at 6. Well, why? Because I want to be really rich. I want to sell to people that want to be really rich and are on the path of being really rich. I don't want to sell to people 9 to 5 that are like, what are your plans today? I plan on smoking a bunch of weed, beating my dog, playing Black Ops. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, that's why, like, I'm not worried about selling to those individuals. I want to sell and do business with the people that I have an alignment with, because we're going to get along. People do business with, and you'll hear this saying from a gentleman named John Maxwell, and he's a leadership mentor, guru, whatever, and he'll say people go along with who they get along with. It's persuasion. Like, people do business with who they get along with. So, like, if you're on this path, this journey, you're in life insurance, you're in sales, and you're thinking to yourself, I want to make a bunch of money. I have a free sales consulting group. You can tap in, you can DM me on Instagram if you want to get in. And I told them the other day, I was like, guys, do you know how simple it is to make money? There's 2 things you can do right now to double your income. Literally, you'll double your income this week. Start working an hour to 2 hours earlier, and then work an hour or 2 hours later. Wow. Wasn't that calculus? Wasn't that so sophisticated? I'm not trying to make you feel stupid. I'm trying to show you how I've made myself feel stupid on, like, why am I not making more money? Well, have you tried the controllables? What's the worst thing that happens in this digital world right now? You fall asleep in your home on Wi-Fi. I fell asleep behind the wheel 5 times. 5 times is the total of how many times I've never wrecked. Oh, I wrecked 1 time awake. That was me being stupid on a back road that was wet. But, and this old lady cut me off. It was her fault, really. But I promise you right now, you working in this digital age virtually, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're going to fall asleep behind a computer, making dials, making sales, building your business. Like, most of the individuals watching this right now that my audience is catered to, the life insurance world, are you kidding me? I would have killed. People like the people that came prior to COVID, we would have killed to not have to go knock thousands of doors. You know how many, I have more doors slammed in my face, shut, not answered, reject, everything that occurs on the phones. Imagine in person and you had to drive hours there. That's literal money spent. You spend mental energy making dials. You don't spend mental energy, physical energy, and then actual financial resources to get to these appointments and building your business and building sales. So you got to understand that it is so simple for you to be doing more. If you're watching this, you're thinking like, well, okay, here's what he did wrong. Lack of organization so far. That's been like the number one thing I can think of, is the lack of organization and prioritizing listen, I will never tell you to have planning, your energy in regard to planning and proper preparation to be more than your action. I think it's like a 30-40% planning preparation, 60-70% action, because a lot of, especially like if you watch like a good quarterback, somebody that's like super, it almost looks like they're proactive, but they're still being reactive in the pocket. And what I mean by that, for those of you that don't understand football, like when you step back as a quarterback and you're reading the field and you don't know who you're going to get the ball to, and they start to react to maneuver based off the line collapsing in, who's open, who's not, who's about to, like, are they about to get tackled, are they about to get touched? And you got to spin out, you got to move out, you got to step up, you got to step back so you can actually make the play. And so what you'll find is through the action, you're going to have things just pop up. It'll never be perfect. What's going to absolutely happen if you take less action is you're going to make less money. I don't know anything in this world until you're generating enough money where you can create automated systems that you're not going to generate revenue without action. That's the number one thing that I've always crushed and done really well. If you're wondering, like, what can I do better? I promise you can multiply your action. Like, if you know, I heard this from Grant Cardone when I first started in sales. He's like, if you know what day it is, if you know what time it is, you're not working hard enough. You don't want it bad. Like, I don't know if you need to make a vision board. I've had vision boards, but I'm more sold recently on having what I call, and this sounds harsh, I guess, but like because I want it to sound harsh for myself. You do whatever you need to do for you, but having like a demon board, And what I mean by that is, what is hell going to look like? Hell, I believe, isn't you actually dying and having that eternal fire that you go to. I think hell starts on earth when you're taking these shortcuts. You're waking up late. You're eating the bad foods. You're not working out. You're not reading. You're not praying. You're not growing yourself. But more importantly, you're not taking legitimate action in your business and sales. Like, you're in sales right now. You're building a business right now, but you're not taking legitimate, like, measurable action. You're just showing up and playing on your phone all day, scrolling on TikTok all day. There is no actual forward intentionality in your business. Those people, I ran circles around. I run circles around. It's so easy to destroy those individuals, especially over time, because of the efforts they compound. Your intentions don't compound. Everybody and their mothers had great intentions over the last 10 years. That's all that you're left with. It's the great efforts that compound day over day, hour over hour, minute over minute, over the years that build empires. Everything else is, we're like, what are we talking about? That's not going to help you get to where you want to be. For you to get something that you've never had, you got to do something you've never done. What you've never done is you've never really worked. And when I break that down for people, they're like, man, that's too simple of an answer. Well, that's how simple it is to get money. That's how simple it is for you to do better in sales, in building your business, is looking at the action that you're taking. So I think that covers a lot for sales, how I got into insurance, what I like. For those people that ask me, how do you get the license? What should I be doing my first year? And let's transition into leadership, because right before leadership, here's how you know you're qualified to be a leader. And I said this, I kind of had this epiphany years ago as I really started to take off and have a lot of success in leadership, is a leader can always produce, but a producer can't always lead. So maybe say that to yourself again. A leader can always produce, but a producer can't always lead. The first pre-qualification of a leader is a producer. Can you produce results? Like, it's not enough for you to just have a seat at the table because you're a good planner. You have a seat at the table because you make good jokes. You have a seat at the table because you're pretty. You have a seat at the table because we just gave you a seat at the table. We have no idea why you're here. To sit at the leadership table, the first pre-qualification is production. Now, you may not be the greatest producer, but you gotta be able to produce. You have to be able to generate revenue yourself. If you can't prove revenue generation from yourself, I apologize, but you are, listen, I don't even apologize. I really don't care. You are not a leader. You're not there yet. If you are not self-sustainable from your own production, you are not a leader. And leadership is you signing up to produce forever in some way, shape, or form. It may not be you pushing the actual product or service forever, but you are going to have to produce in every aspect, because leadership is really just another word for servanthood. You're signing up to serve others and ask others, what can I do better for you? Leadership is customer service. Leadership is providing results without any complaints. Well, I don't want to do this. Well, then don't be a leader. So that first pre-qualification is production. Can you produce? So, because I get this question a lot. What can I do to scale my team better? What can I do to scale my business better? Well, how much money have you made from personally producing and selling your product or service? Not much. I'm just trying to recruit. Do you hear yourself right now? Could you imagine someone coming up to you and saying, hey, I want you to get into business with me? Awesome. Well, how much, what's the business doing? Like, what are the products? What are the services? Let's just say, you know what I mean? Like, we sell these Louis glasses. Oh, well, we're selling Louis Vuitton glasses. Okay, awesome. How much have you sold? None. But I want you to come sell for me. Are we kidding right now? Is this a joke? You know what I mean? Like, is this Comedy Central? Like, I can't stand when people are like, they'll come to me, what can I do to recruit? Well, how much production have you done? Are you documenting the revenue that you're generating and then just sharing it with the world? Like, here's how simple it is to recruit and attract high quality people are typically going to come in correspondence with a high quality offer. So If you can show the gentleman that can show, hey, I made $1,000 this week of selling life insurance, post the paycheck, or you sell vacuums, you sell door to door, you're building your business. Who knows what your service, your product is? Here's the paycheck, here's the revenue generated. We're looking for a chief sales officer. We're looking for more sales reps. Here's the potential earnings. I did it. I can show you how to do it. That's what the production symbolizes. You having $0 in production symbolizes, here's what we have to offer you. A big zero. That's dumb. I don't think again, I know my high school diploma doesn't really reflect scholastic intelligence, but I believe, hopefully everybody watching this, we have a certain level of common sense. I know I do. What are we talking about, right? Now you have to imagine, so when you really start to scale and the money's really starting to pump, you post a $10,000, $100,000, $1 million income for the week, for the month, for the year, and you start to document the journey. Here's how I got here. I could, just you posting that is symbolism of I can show you if you want this. You don't have to say anything else. Post the bread. Just post the bread. Those of you that are like, how do I scale? Go make the bread, post the bread, sit back, and they're going to come. They're 1,000% going to come. You don't even why do you think everybody is so obsessed with the Miami lifestyle culture? Because these gurus got it down. They go rent a Lamborghini. They go get 10 roommates into a penthouse and they flash the lifestyle. Look at this lifestyle. This is my corner of the penthouse. I'm allowed 200 square foot of it. That's Jerry's. That's his. We all share my Lambo. And you idiots, you surface level people, poor people, impressed with materialism. But everybody starts there. Everybody starts as a young man, young girl. You're impressed by the material. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm telling you right now, that's what you're going to start with. You're going to generate quantity. If that's what you're looking for more recruits. I'm looking for more bodies. By you legitimately, because people will be able to fish out the bullshit over time. And if they can't, the FTC will over time. They'll figure out, who's a scammer, who's not a scammer, who's generating real revenue, providing real results to the individual they're promising these results to in your offer. And so when you start to show people the money that you're making and documenting the journey, what you're really going to find in real high-level leadership is high-level people are going to make a lot of money, regardless of you. But when you combine that relationship and you can start to impact people's lives and help them grow mentally, physically, spiritually, the financially is a byproduct of all of that. That's where you're going to really start to establish high-level leadership. And then you're going to scale. And guess how awesome this is. That doesn't happen overnight. So now we already eliminated 90% of people because most people need things to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. It's impossible. They're the price to this process is a insane amount of reps. It's repetition of spending time with people, going through chargebacks, loss of business, breakups, personal issues, deaths, and your flaws, their flaws. Business is a literal, it's like micro marriages. That's what it is. You piss me off, I piss you off, we get over it. We figure out what you're not doing well, what I'm not doing well, and we get over it and grow from it. That's leadership in a box. That's leadership 101. It's not like these stupid corporate HR meetings and those. Any corporate book on leadership, burn it. Don't ever read that. If you really want to know what leadership is and you don't want to read, which I don't, that blows my mind why you wouldn't want to read. But if you really want to know what leadership is, it's being good to people and treating people, not just how you want to be treated. I heard a man say this when I was, again, young in life insurance, and he was an older gentleman in the life insurance world, and he said, don't treat people how you want to be treated. Treat people how they want to be treated. That's leadership. Could you imagine? You go out to eat at a nice restaurant, you sit down, you open up your menu, you're looking, and the waiter comes up and just takes the menu from you and says, hey, I'm going to order for you. And you're going to like whatever I give you. And if you don't, that's your problem. So that's where the golden rule goes wrong, of treat people how you want to be treated. What you want to order off the menu isn't always what I want to order off the menu. You got to ask people, hey, what do you see on here that you want? What do you see that you like? What can I do for you? How can I make this the best experience possible for you? And here's where you really separate and you really start to build solid relationships. Because the relationship's more important than the company. When you start to like prioritize, like when you really start to realize like, what is the company? It's not even a real, it's not a being. It's not an organism. You know what I mean? It's just data. It's just spreadsheets. It's just humans determining, we say that's worth this much, and we're going to label it and title it this, and here's going to be the product or service. The real company is people. And when you start to put people first and love people and take care of people, not overnight, but over time, that's where your life changes. That's where I'm starting to realize deep levels of leadership where people are like following me. And I'm still like, I've just turned 26 years old. And I'm sitting here thinking like, man, it's been a long time coming. For me, it feels like a long time coming. But then I talk to people that are 40 years old, worth $100 million plus. And they're like, you're just getting started. What do you mean long time coming? You're in the warm-ups. You're in practice still. So like, shut up, basically. Why are you talking about being behind? You're ahead. I wish I would have had the knowledge, the wisdom, the development, everything that you have at this age. Don't be distracted by this shiny object syndrome of these other individuals. The grass is green over here. This guy's doing that. Well, let's see where everybody's at a decade from now. The real recognize the real when you're putting in the real work and doing the real things. That's what it's going to take. So I look at some of the deep, like I didn't get into leadership until about 2 years in to life insurance. So I'm 2 years into life insurance, 19, 20, 21, until I really start to retain agents. Do you know when I was recruiting? Day one, I was recruiting. I was recruiting and telling people, hey, look, I haven't made any money yet, but there's guys making a bunch of money. Then I started making money and people still didn't come. And some did come and they didn't make it and they didn't make it and they didn't make it. And I remember I was sitting at my mentor. I was sitting at his table. I was sitting in his office and I was telling him, I was like, dog, it's almost been 2 years. Nobody outworks me. I was a top producer in your company, never done before, at 19 years old, shattered records, youngest to do it, all of like, never done before. I'm doing every single thing you've told me. Every day, I'm posting scripture, I'm reading scripture, I'm living scripture. I'm not just one of those people who's like, let me just post this Bible verse. I'm living this, dog. I'm doing this. I'm really this. I'm really outworking everybody. I'm really up, calling, presenting, selling by 7 a.m., training and leading and developing people. I'm reading 10 times more than anybody I know. I'm sitting here thinking like, I'm reading more than everybody. I'm reading, I'm praying, I'm working out. I'm not sleeping. It's been 2 years. I've made almost $300,000 from personal production. I made almost $300,000, guys, my first 2 years in selling insurance from my personal pen. Nobody else. 0 people really contributed, just myself. Well, he's like, well, look, you're doing the right things. You're in the right place. Eventually, it'll be the right time. That third variable is it. Eventually, it's going to be the right time. Those of you that are watching this, you feel behind. Man, I feel behind. I'm making sales, I'm recruiting, I'm training, but I can't keep anybody. I can't break through. We just lost people. We just took a step back. No, you took a step forward. You needed to lose those people. You needed to go a year or two without having any recruits and be in that stage of stagnation because God wanted to show you like who you were really going to become and equip you with this mental armor of like, dude, I'm going to show you how you can go years just needing you, just having you and just me. Like you're going to need me and that's it. Because I remember years ago when it was just me and God. So now when I go through hard times, I'm like, I've survived off less. Why am I worried? You got me through yesterday. You got me through how many yesterdays? You're going to get me through today. That same God is the same God that cares about you. And I won't get all spiritual on you. whatever your beliefs are, you got through yesterday. You needed to go through those stages. I needed to go through that stage. So many people want to skip that process and skip that stage and go immediately to, I have thousands of agents. My business is doing hundreds of millions of dollars. Listen, from my understanding and the relationships I've developed with the individuals that are 100 million plus for real, legit business, legit bread, the price is a decade minimum. The common denominator is a decade minimum. And there's a lot of downs more than the ups. But the ups are so much sweeter than the downs. They make you appreciate those down times, those hard times that much more. You almost look forward to them. It almost becomes like this sick relationship of like entrepreneurial abuse of like, and I like it when things aren't going my way. When people are quitting, when people are leaving, when times are hard, when we're finding out new resources and new systems and there's new data and we have to make adjustments and the economy's changing and this is happening and that's happening and now I have to take a step back. That step back is a step back in man's eyes. But when you reflect internally and realize you're becoming better, they can't take away your wisdom. They can't take away your knowledge. You're in control of your mind. Then you realize this is a step up. This is a step forward. This is a blessing. It's such a blessing. So I think of transitioning into leadership, and what was very beneficial for me was production, the mindset, the hunger. I was getting better at organization. Where I failed in the leadership was my lack of patience and passion. I wasn't, especially early on, I was not servanthood leadership. I wasn't focused on the customer service and genuine connections. I was just focused on results. If you just focus on the contribution, that's all people will bring. They'll just bring numbers. But when you focus on collaboration and contribution and the community, you start to build a family. But if you do one more than the other, if you focus too much on like collaboration and family, you'll build a charity. You'll build a little church. And I know some of these churches look real rich out there, but odds are you are not going to build a super church out of your sales team. So unless that's your goal. Contribution, we got to get results. Community, collaboration, we got to be a family. When you bring those two together, you start to build an empire over time. If there's one thing you could write down, you're watching this, you made it 36 minutes in so far, you have to be patient. That can be very destructive if you are a lazy individual, because there's a lot of people that say, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm doing sales, I'm in sales, and they show up and you're some TikTok lord, you're some Instagram lord. Like if you could use social media, I use social media a lot. It makes me a lot of money. I'm closing in those DMs. We're recruiting in those DMs. We're creating content that's bringing you value, that's generating leads. I got millions of views that I'm converting a percentage of that into revenue in some way, shape, or form. What are you doing with it? Are you a user? Are you just a consumer? Or are you being a producer? So in the leadership phase, the early leadership phase, if you're struggling and you relate to me, I guarantee you an issue that you have is you're lacking that patience and that passion for your people. People have to know how much you care, because here's another John Maxwell quote, is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And listen, you can fake it right off rip. There's a lot of weak, low-level sales leaders and salespeople out there. They take advantage of the minds of people in sales, and they sell them this pipe dream and this vision of something it's not a matter of it not being possible, but they take advantage. And over time reveals all. It exposes all. It's not a loss of time. If you can relate to that and feel like, man, I wasted a lot of time. I've had that feeling a lot of like, man, I wasted a lot of time contributing a lot of revenue to a company that, I was told this or told that. And it's like, you wasted nothing. You learn and you earn. Most times you spend most of your youth in your learning season. Your earning season comes down the road. You got to learn before you earn. That's how it works. So as leadership started to take off for me, and I guess this will be like a 3-part video. When leadership started to take off for me, I was 21 and I made $345,000. We did $2 million of sales in a almost like a 7-month span. And it was right when COVID hit. I'm 21 years old. I remember being in Lincoln, Nebraska, and thinking to myself, like, COVID hit. And I'm just thinking, I was almost like, I feel like I was in like out of state type of mind of like, man, I'm 21 years old and there's 15, 20 individuals depending on me, ranging from ages of 18 to 40 something years old that are depending on me to lead them. And COVID's hitting. They're talking about shutting the nation down. They're talking about martial law. I'm 1,000 miles away from home. I think it was the first time I moved out of state. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what am I gonna do? I was already hardcore. I was raised hardcore. I was raised to like, we're going to war, you know what I mean? Type of mindset. Like whatever happens, happens. But I'm thinking of these individuals I'm leading and thinking like legitimate business of like, okay, how is this gonna break down? What are we gonna do? And I remember going to a verse, and I believe it was Matthew 6:33 or 34. And I'll summarize it, paraphrase it. I'm not a pastor and I can't recite the verse perfectly. But this is the verse that I built my next level of leadership on. And this type of leadership is where I think these high-level entrepreneurs, I think they utilize this verse as well. They don't even realize it. And this is where you really start to step on like massive levels of faith. And when you're backed into that corner of darkness and you don't know how you're gonna come up with the money, how you're gonna make the connections, the relationships, how you're gonna get clothes on the building, like how are you gonna make that next big play? And so I find this verse. The verse found me. And it was basically like, look to the skies. And the skies are still blue. And you see that the birds are singing. And you see that the flowers on the ground are taken care of. And the animals are taken care of. And God's feeding the animals. He's taking care of the animals. And the skies are blue. The earth is fine. How much more does he love you? And if you know he loves you that much more, how much more is he going to take care of you? So the world was saying, we're falling apart. We're shutting everything down. Everybody was going into panic and chaos. I was telling my people and myself on repeat, look at the skies. They're blue. Look at the birds. And I know that sounds crazy, like I'm over there giving like some Mary Poppins motivation, but I swear to God, this is what we like. Listen, look around the world. They might be going into chaos, but we're going into confidence. Like, I don't know what everybody's beliefs are, but here's my beliefs. I believe my God took care of me yesterday, and he's going to take care of us today. So you can hop on this bandwagon or you can hop on the fear bandwagon. But this one is the faith of, I don't know how it's going to get done, but I know who. God and us. So we're going to keep getting on these phones, figuring it out, adjusting, adapting. And in 9 days, we adapted from a physical in the field company to a virtual company. Systems, technology. Was it perfect? No. But a month goes by. Start doing 60, 70, 80,000 a week. We had, almost 100% growth in 30 days. And then again, in a matter of 7 months, I get a call from our corporate office and they're like, hey, we want you to become a franchise owner. I'm 21 years old. Is that allowed? Is that legal? They're like, you're 21. I was like, yeah, I'm 21. They actually didn't know I was 21 until after I signed the franchise paperwork apparently or something. They were like, we thought you were 28. 21, dog. And, but they called me up. They're like, the numbers that you've created, done, spectacular. You guys have done phenomenal. And that's not a reflection of me. I'm a small piece of that of, hey, I'm gonna be our aggressive, we're gonna get the job done. But there was so many bright and strong and level-headed individuals that put their faith into me and the vision, and we built something special together. And so we got that call. And I want to, as I wrap up with you guys, use the word restart. And I don't even like to say restart because we should change the terminology on that because life is restarting and rebuilding. But I had accumulated about a team of 30 or 40 when I became a franchise owner and they moved me to Chicago. They're like, yeah, you're going to move to Chicago, run an office over there, take over a failing office. And you can take 3 people. The rest you got to leave. But I just spent now 4 years to get to this. It took me 2 years. And then when I got to Nebraska, I had to restart and leave people. And then I go to Chicago. I got to restart, rebuild, leave people. And so we get out there, and they're like, and you got to be there in a week. And in that same week, I wreck a car. The only time I wrecked a wake, $50,000 gone. Leaving behind my $2 million business to restart. And I'm trying to think of a better word. Because I had somebody hit me up, had somebody quit on me a couple months ago, and they're like, I feel like I'm rebuilding again, and it sucks. And I was like, are you kidding me, bro? You're a man. Rebuilding? Every day you wake up, you rebuild from the weakness that you had yesterday. And you have to go within and murder and destroy that weakness within you. Rebuild. That's what life is. Life is rebuilding forever. The only way you get out of rebuilding is when you die. So I came to this acceptance, and it wasn't then at 21. It was probably at 24, 25, after losing hundreds of people in the sales world. You lose, like in sales, entrepreneurship, you realize people are like, what's your retention rate? What's your turnover rate? Our turnover rate. And, I'll say something funny. I'll usually be like, turnover rate, 100%. We lose everybody. They were like, what? How? I was like, oh, well, we've just discovered that everybody actually dies. So you can't keep anybody forever. Do you know a company that has a 100% retention rate or a 0% turnover rate? They don't turn anybody over. Usually those people don't answer anymore. Those are like corporate low level. They want just some type of salary. Those are the nerds. And I've developed great answers for them. But it's this mindset and understanding of I don't own anybody. Those of you that are struggling, like, I got to rebuild, I got to restart. That is what life is. You're going to restart and rebuild forever. You're going to have physical setbacks. You're going to have mental setbacks. You're going to have spiritual setbacks. And most importantly, you're going to have financial setbacks. It's a tool, dog. It's a tool. Sometimes you're going to have less tools. Sometimes you're going to have more tools. But that's a byproduct of the real tool. You growing yourself. You making sure the circle that you're around, that you're putting yourself into is growing, that you're subjecting yourself to is growing. That's the real measurement of success of like, man, I lost people, I lost money. Like, talk to anybody worth real money. You think they haven't been sued? They haven't lost people? They haven't lost money? When real individuals hear you crying and complaining about loss in business, they don't even look at you as competition. I promise you, I don't look at people as competition when they shortcut. And there's a difference between shortcutting and like, I guess more so identifying in business, finding predictions and making adjustments and adaptations in your business so that you can be proactive. You have to make maneuvers. You have to break up partnerships. You have to, make adjustments within your business. And sometimes an industry fails and you gotta move an industry. But some people you can see they are so reactive to the emotion of, oh, this is so hard. I have to restart, rebuild. I have to do this. I have to do that. I don't have the leads I need. I don't have the resources I need. Like, you're an entrepreneur. When you say that to people that have made it and are making it, they don't look at you as competition. They look at you as a victim. I was sitting in the sauna last night. I was watching this grown man get in a cold tub for 2 seconds and get out and start flailing like a little girl. And I was embarrassed for our nation, for Americans, for an American man, because I'm thinking of like, imagine our ancestors fighting off saber-toothed tigers, fighting off lions and bears, and going to physical war and combat. Like the first 10, 15 presidents actually served in like actual combat. When you study like the presidents and leaders and like great, like these were combat serving leaders, to now looking at grown men crying and complaining, it's too cold outside. I don't want to do a cold tub. I don't want a fight. Someone's going to punch me in the face. I'm going to sue you. That hurts. Soft, disgusting, weak. I spent all night writing notes on, like, where did this weakness come from? It is this level of comfort that you desire in the sales world, the entrepreneurial world, but it all leads back to an origin of men in general, especially what looks like the American man has been absolutely poisoned by this desire of comfort that they have achieved. We've achieved this desire of comfort where everybody said the saying. I don't even want to say it. Where good times make weak men, and weak men make hard times, and hard times make strong men, and strong men make good times, and rinse and repeat. I just wish there was a way where you could enjoy both, where you could become strong and you could realize you have to break your vices, you have to break that level of comfort, and you have to break the things that you get used to. Well, I'm used to this being this way. Well, maybe go get punched in the face this week. In all seriousness. Because what if it were to truly happen? What would you do? Someone walks into your house, punches you in your face in front of your wife and your kids. You lay on the ground and cry and give up and say, "Oh my God, this is horrible." Are you kidding me? This is no way for you to live your life. This is why you're failing in sales and business. It all goes back to that point, the overindulgence of comfort, the codependency of comfort and your needed routine. You should break your routine with developmental pain of how can I put myself through pain so that I can remind myself of what could happen. You could go back to square one. You could lose your ability to walk. You could lose your ability to hear, to see. Someone in your family, you have to understand human life is temporary. There's only two things that are guaranteed in this world. That's death and taxes. You can get a little bit out of taxes. You can't get out of death. You have to break the routine of the comfort through putting yourself through subjected developmental pain. And what you'll find is you fall in love with it. You fall in love with it and you start to realize what is the worst thing that happens in this life. As you're growing in sales, you're growing in business, and you're watching, you're thinking, okay, here's how he did this when he started in sales, early leadership, and then as he started to take off into leadership, and then building the little insurance empire that I have now. I don't think the worst thing in my life is all the money that I've lost. I have lost so much money, it blows my mind. I don't think about the people that I've lost being horrible, the people that have passed away being absolutely horrible. All of these things are detrimental to most. And still, for me, it's more of a lesson than let me just allow this to take a toll or take energy out of my life. But I think the worst thing that happens in this life, when I was telling you guys about, everybody's got a positive vision board. Maybe you should have a hell board of here's what life can look like when it turns into a living hell because of all your poor decisions. But I think of this. Imagine being 80 years old. Life expectancy is about 85, 86. You're 86 years old. You're laying in your deathbed. Hopefully your wife is still around. Your parents aren't around. More than likely they're not around. Maybe you got a sibling around. Maybe you have some kids that are around. And all you're thinking about is a handful of things. You're grateful for the people that are still around as you're leaving this earth. But I believe, especially as a man, there's probably one thing that'll be coursing through my brain. It won't be the money in the bank. It won't be the fast car in the parking lot. If it won't be a jet, the yacht, the trips. It won't be any of that. It'll be almost like that Alexander complex of what did you do to align with your biological wiring of living a king-like life? Did you leave it all out on the field? Those of you that played sports, did you go to the whistle? Or did you pull back because you were afraid? Well, what if she says no? What if I don't close that deal? What if I start the business and fail? What if I get into sales and I fail and I go broke? What if you are 86 years old and you worked 9 to 5 for 60 years, 60 years? You just married the girl that you wanted to marry and you guys cheated on each other and she's got kids, you got kids, and you just settled for the average car, and you won't think about all that, but you will think of, What if? And those what ifs, as your life flashes before your eyes, in my mind, is you're living hell. And that's harsh. Well, right now we live in times that you need harsh, because 100 years ago, that was reality. We've created, through such great capitalism and evolution in our nation, we've created such great sources of income and opportunity that comfort has become so oversupplied that people are blinded by it, blinded by privilege, my girl says. And I got the sweetest woman in the world. But you don't get a girl like that without going to war of like developing and growing yourself and putting yourself in a position to become the best man possible. The last thing I'll leave you with, in my more recent years, so the last 2 years of leadership, getting over $5 million a year in selling life insurance through an agency of 150, 200 plus agents, of what has gone wrong and what has gone well. I made my first million at 22 and I lost it the following year. 22, made my first mil. 23, 24, I lose $1 million. And I look at, for there, a bad relationship with one of our individuals and not realizing the opportunity was limited. Like an actual business strategy that went wrong is if you're selling a product that can be sold to all 50 states, like insurance can be sold to all 50 states. The United States, when you're selling American life insurance, you can sell to all 50 states. If you don't have access to all 50 states and you're bringing people into your business, you have to be transparent and let them know, hey, look, we have limited resources here, because you could be selling to all 300 million plus Americans, but we only have access to a couple million. So those irregularities are going to stifle your business. So that was a mishap. And I ended up losing 40, 50 agents. It translated to about $1 million in loss of business. Bunch of debt, bunch of this, bunch that. Like I got stuck in an office lease that was $20,000 a month in the middle of COVID. Like it was crazy. You know what I mean? I'm 23 years old, losing like $100,000 will come in. And this is where I hate all these gross money talkers. People will flex all the money coming in. Well, let's flex what's going out. You know what I mean? Like some of you guys are getting bamboozled by idiots. You know what I mean? Tell them to show you what's going out as well. Because I'll be the first to tell you, I had 100 coming in and I had 110 coming out. Negative $10,000. You can still show the $1 million. It looks cool. It looks real cool until you show the net. You show the net. That's all right, though. That's building a business. That's building businesses, right? And so the final thing as I reflect, what I would have done better over this last year is I would have found my girl even sooner. Because I feel like as a young man, we spent a lot of time. I didn't spend a significant amount of time chasing and looking, for just random girls. My standards have always been high. Anytime, I have a beautiful girlfriend, I always wanted a more beautiful, more well-rounded girlfriend. So I wasn't like these average loser dudes that is like, I just need any girl in the world. Like, I'll hook up with that couch. You know what I mean? Like, not me, dog. So, but I look at the power of a very powerful woman when she comes into your life. And you have to realize it's years of development, and you never stop developing and evolving, and you earn her every day. But my life has 10x'd in so many different ways and forms of like just the maturity, the emotional intelligence, and realization of like just opportunity in the world. When you align with that partner, it's game over. With the faith, with the fitness, with the self-development, and then the byproducts of the business, it's game over. The right woman will pull you out of tables that are taking advantage of you. The right woman will pull you away from tables that are just completely destroying you in ways you didn't even see because your ego blinded you. So I feel like it's an angel from God when she sends the right woman into your life, young men watching this, and she will actually bring you to tables. My girl brought me to tables I didn't even realize I could get access to that are 100 million plus worth dollars like that. Stop chasing these irrelevant women. They wouldn't show up to your funeral. My pops went to prison. She wouldn't wait for you in prison. I'm not saying you're going to prison, but I'm just telling you, the right one is so ride or die, you wouldn't even have to question that. Like, we don't even argue. Me and my girl don't even argue about like mediocre level arguments. That's the right partner. Our arguments is like me not getting enough love. Like if you tell her like I need another hug or something. Guys, I'm telling you right now, you're in sales, you're in business. I'm telling you this right now. I came in here and I told these guys I'm probably coming here to talk for 10 minutes. It's been an hour. That's how passionate I am. Passion is reflected from process and from pain. You can't fake passion. This shit's been 6 years of knocking on doors, calling, getting rejection, losing millions of dollars, and being transparent with people. And that's what people are like, I love your message. That's because it's not fucking fake. It's my one F word. It's not fake, man. It's not fake. I don't need to hire you. I don't need to recruit you. I'm a producer and I'm a leader, and I'm going to die that way. I feel like for me, the last thing I'd leave you with, and I say that a lot, but this is the actual last thing, is this mindset as a man is you should go out on the sword. I don't know, like I love studying cultures, and I think of the very, I don't know how long it existed, but I think of that Viking culture of they didn't believe they could enter their heaven unless they died in battle. What would that translate to in 2024, in the 21st century? What would dying in battle as a man look like? I believe it's going all in on your dreams and your goals, and you say, I'm going to die on this hill, like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I'm gonna pull up and build this business, go all in on sales, go all in on my self-development. I'm going to get the best girl, the best body, the best mind. I don't care where I started. I know where I'm going to finish. The ships behind me, that plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, light it on fire and go earn your heaven on earth. Sword in hand. I'm going to win or I'm going to die. There ain't nothing else. Love you guys. I appreciate you. This was an improvised hour. Have a great day.